Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here, I'm back. This is Pernell Bobby asking you to say hello to my new plant. This is Groot, and the one next to it is actually a rosemary plant, and we're calling it Rosemary, me and my partner's first plant. Today I'm talking about Cancer in the 8th house, specifically in the natal planet Mars, all right? I've looked for this video for a very long time. I've never found this specific placement, and so I've been motivated for a very, very long time to do this for you. So much that I'm barely breathing. I'm already trying to get ahead of myself. So I'm going to take my tea, calm the hell back down. Asking you to go ahead, like this, subscribe this. You can expect videos from me at least twice a week. Do not ask me which day, because that puts too much stress on me. And if you're a Cancer in Mars in the 8th house, you're going to understand how. All right. So what you do know is it's going to be astrology based, and I have a big focus on relationships. All right. Using astrology in the space of relationships, how to relate, how to use astrology to bring your sex drive and your partner's sex drive in a unison, even if you're on complete opposite spectrums. And even beyond that, like helping you navigate the barriers, which Cancer does very well, and it does so intuitively, especially if you have a Mars and Cancer in the 8th house. I also have a Cancer and Pholus in the 8th house. And so we're going to really dive into this. So Mars, we need to take in for account what is that. We know your sexual aggression. We know your drive towards work. It's also what I think the most important thing. It's one of the main inner planets. So it has a major focus on you. All right. It has a major focus in your life. It is what drives you to do the things that you do. And it's unconscious. This is one of the biggest and most important parts that I think is something that needs to be stressed, all right? As you press that subscribe button. I need you to understand that Mars is an unconscious planet. So whatever zodiac sits there, you're not going to consciously understand this part about you until time passes, until your experiences in life shows you what's up. So Mars is at its highest strength when you put it in Aries. Capricorn is where it's exalted. All right. In Scorpio, it feels really still like at home because one of the original rulers. But one of the furthest, and two of the planets that are just the worst there are Libra, the opposite of Aries, and also Cancer. All right. Mars is in its fall when it comes into Cancer. It doesn't like to be there traditionally. Mars just really rejects Cancers. I'm in Aries myself as my sun, my moon, and my Mercury. You can check some of my videos. And I could tell you it's been a conflict within myself. Like when my main identity in my emotional world, in my private life, and how I think would show up as an Aries was complete contrast for what my unconscious behaviors wanted to do with my Mars being in Cancer. Especially and specifically, this video is an interpretation of the 8th house. All right. So 8th house is Scorpio house. It's a house of power. It's a house of control. It's a house of the things that are hidden. Now you put this in a natal planet like now natal zodiac of the Cancer, the crab. So you know a little bit about the fact that Mars speaks for our unconscious mind. Great. Now you need to understand that Cancer is linked to the crab. Prehistorically, the crab has been around as one of the most ancient animals from prehistoric times until now. I think 65 plus million years it's been on this planet, and it's found a way to survive. And it has not done that because it's just overly powerful in strength. All right. It's actually, as you know, a very passive, aggressive sign. It's passive because the crab moves side to side, and it doesn't move side to side until it feels safe and it feels secure. It's aggressive because Cancer is still a cardinal sign. So it still wants, and it's what people always forget, to push forward. So in modern day, in past times, this is a really, really bad placement, I think, because people will manipulate you way too easily. Because the thing is, with a Cancer in the 8th house, they get hurt easily. All right. They get hurt easily, and they're not necessarily going to be the ones to off the rip attack back. They're going to sit in resentment, and they're going to build their emotional outburst up over time. One of the scariest things I think on the planet is for a Cancer, especially in Mars, especially in the 8th house power, to build up aggression and emotional baggage over time. Because when they do blow, this is the people who will commit crimes of passion. And I am also speaking about myself, right? Like, and I can see this in my relationship world. Like I said, I speak relationships on this channel. So it took me a lot of navigation in my relationships to recognize how not to blow up. Because my Aries wants to kind of have these short ignitions, these short bursts of boom, baby, and then I'm done, I'm over it. My Cancer, my unconscious mind, and how I want to express that aggression, because Mars, natal planet, is Aries. So this affects me in a way that is, I would say, not specific to each person, unless you also have a lot of Aries influence. Like I have 3 main inner drives in Aries. So I need to always take into account how this Cancer affects me, because it's in my natal planet of Mars. So if I don't allow myself to express and communicate, especially verbally or even through action, because my Cancer wants to hold me back, that blow up becomes very dangerous. All right. Crimes of passion. All right. So passion is the key word here, because Mars is a ridiculously passionate planet. Aries and Scorpio, these are passion signs. These are signs full of vibrant emotions. Aries on the lit up side, Scorpio on the traumatic, I gotta transform my dark into light side. You can check a lot of my Scorpio rising videos for that. So when you put Cancer here, one of the things I think is so beautiful about this placement, especially in modern day, is the world does not attack straight up anymore, right? We're not gladiators like Aries would love to be in the Colosseum, just attacking your enemies and smiting them down right in your face. We're living in a world where now things happen behind the scenes. They happen in our political structures behind the scenes. They happen in ways that logic does not equate to a real answer. In fact, logic is used to sway and dictate and manipulate others into believing a certain narrative, believing into gaslighting themes about themselves. So this is where Cancer and Mars is magnificent. Intuitively, we have the intuition of the crab, who has survived through the ages of dinosaurs and so much more worldly devastating events. The floods, eruptions of volcanoes, tremors and earthquakes that even hit the sea and interrupted the sea life. Crabs have found ways to survive, and they do so with intuition. All right. What's important to understand about this Mars unconsciously is this side-to-side crab movement, passive aggression. Until you feel safe, you will likely freeze in place and you won't move forward, just like a crab. All right. Crabs will not move until they understand that it's safe to move. So you have to actually allow space for your emotions. A lot of logic in our Western world society doesn't allow space for emotion. They allow space only for logic and to push things forward, which Cancer wants to do as a cardinal sign. It wants to push things forward, but it will never until it feels safe. I want to actually, and I never usually do this, but I have a leisure. I have a couple leisures. This is one, but this is primarily my leisure around my Scorpio ascendant and my 8th house in Cancer, because it was so important in my life, and I feel like I don't want to miss these things for you. So they're likely to test the waters before they dive in, all right? So they will actually try to, especially in your relationships, how this works in your relationships, you'll try to press a partner's button, all right? To see, like, if I press this, how will you react? And if you react in a way that I don't feel safe, then I know that it's not safe to move forward or push on that. I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna wait for a new opportunity, the next opportunity, to probably press another button to see, is it safe now? Is it safe in this manner? Where they may struggle is when you go through a rapid development, all right? So I have a Gemini and Venus in Gemini, rapid thinker. I have a Mercury in Aries, rapid thinker, right? We think super fast. We want to build creative projects, especially my Aries in the 5th house, fast, all right? So Cancer actually helps me in this modern day area to slow down and be a little more intuitive and be a little slower on all this firepower that I have. Aries, I got a Leo and Jupiter, super firepower placements, right? Cancer goes, here's a little bit of water on all of your actions, and we're going to do so unconsciously because Mars is unconscious. So you don't always know when I'm acting in my Cancer nature. And so now when you watch this video, you become aware, right? So when that rapid development comes, they actually get anxious. So when you find yourself feeling anxiety, when you find yourself feeling frozen, understand that this is not a moment to panic. A lot of times I would feel like, what the hell's wrong with me in these moments? Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I move? Like, I literally would be frozen, silent, unable to speak. And as an Aries, that's very frightening, right? Because it's like all we do is speak up for ourselves out loud without really any waiting. We don't wait. We just, inspiration, go at it, go at it, go at it. So if you feel anxiety with this placement, recognize that it's actually something that says, look, I'm going through a lot of rapid developments, and this is actually just trying to get me to look at the big picture and use my intuition that has gotten me to survive from 65 million years ago till now. All right. When I feel safe, I will push forward. I spoke about this already, that emotions will motivate your drive, your ambition, your solar plexus chakra, your creative chakra. Like when your emotions are churning and they're saying, this is safe, this is good, this is for me, then you will feel driven. But when logic is at play, it's like, you're not really like forced to act. So there are times where you have to really notice about yourself with this placement, Cancer in the 8th house and Mars, to kind of work with, like for me, my Gemini placement in Venus. Gemini and Venus is like logical, right? It's an objective thinker. The emotions really aren't controlling its actions, only telling me about my abundance and my values that I have, which is knowledge and intellectual. I value these things, but my actions don't move on my values. So you got to kind of like find out how does your chart play out with all the placements, and understand that this placement, you got to find ways to be emotionally attached to something, which also is sex, right? Sex in your relationships. Sex is just pure emotional. You're going to probably, like me, feel like shit if you are engaging in intercourse with your partner and you don't have the emotion there. Now, there are other parts of me that can just have sex for play, right? Like an Eros and Sagittarius. All right, I had a little interruption. Ran out of memory, ran out of battery. Welcome to being a YouTuber, right? Please do, in the meanwhile, like this one more time, subscribe to this. We'll get back into the relationships of a Cancer in the 8th house and Mars, how you act, and how to really take full advantage of who you are and your superpowers, because Cancer is a highly intuitive, motherly sign, all right? So that really brings me kind of to your personal drive, right? So with 8th house is the house of like marriage, Scorpio's house. It's an interpersonal sign. And in that house, your actions are really dependent on your partner as well, all right? Because you're the mother and you want to build and you want to nurture these relationships, especially with your loved ones. It really means the world to you, so much that your soul is now connected and tied with that person. And I had that same connection with me, my friend, my twin flame. Check this twin flame video right here. I'll drop that up. And everyone knows within themselves that a twin flame connection has that soul tie, emotional bond, a connection that just is otherworldly. So you're gonna need a very intense and committed love, something that can withstand the trials that a Cancer in the 8th house will put you through, because to be honest, they will put you through tests, all right? And one of the things about a Cancer is they're very convincing. So they're very convincing in their argument. They know how to play a soft role, but they are a cardinal sign, so they'll play that side to side, passive aggressively until they feel safe, and then they'll push forward, because as long as they feel threatened, they just will freeze, all right? And so recognize that I talked about the resentment. What's really important is to watch for like dramatic outbursts, dramatic emotional energy rising, and really be honest with yourself when you're just being dramatic. Like sometimes I gotta just be real honest with myself when I gotta like sit and feel into, yo, is this really that important to me, or am I just being dramatic because I want this person to prove themselves and they're choosing to set a boundary and they're choosing to say no, because me proving myself in this moment is me defending myself, and I should not have to defend who or what I am or what I'm doing when I know I'm doing it in truth. So really take a second to feel into your emotions of when are you manipulating that partner especially with Mars being an unconscious planet. Like, you got to really do some inner work, some inner shadow work, because you know that you're in a bad space with relationships and partnerships when you feel manipulated by your partners. It's probably because you are still in a toxic phase of patterns where you're manipulating your partners in a way that you unconsciously are just unaware of. So you will attract that. So really be real with yourself with this. And what you really want to do, I talked about earlier about like the outburst. I'm on my little ledger list. The outburst, you really want to express yourself more frequently. I would say it doesn't always have to be verbally, because Cancer is an extremely artistic sign, all right? Extremely artistic. Like, I feel like people don't really put a lot of credit on this, but all water signs are artistic, but it requires you to tap into your emotions in order for that art to come through. That is the key, all right? You have to tap into your real feelings, because they don't operate or move on intellect or logic. This is major. Don't be a victim. Don't fall into these spaces of codependency or neediness in your relationships. This is major with Mars and Cancer, especially in the 8th house. All right. So you always want to make sure you're being emotionally honest. It's ridiculously crucial. And watch for being manipulative when you're in your moody mood. All right. Don't use your moodiness as a form of manipulation. Now, your moodiness is also one of your superpowers. When you are moody, it is a very clear sign that something, as for a download, because the spirituality in this sign is insane. It's insane. You get downloads regularly, all right? Cancer, Mars in the 8th house is the shaman, all right? I really believe this placement. It is the shaman. It's the healer. It's the medicine man. It's the one that connects with ancestors, right? 4th house, Cancer is ancestors. It's your roots. They connect with the ancestors. They connect with the family lineage. 65 million years plus of the crab, right? A lineage that just goes, you have access to all of your past lives. You can pull on that spiritual family at any point in time. All you got to do is ask. This is what's beautiful about this sign, because 8th house is also about going deep into the subconscious, deep into your hidden motivations. So you, as a Cancer, Mars, 8th house, you want to understand your hidden motivations. I know you looked this video up over and over, even though it has always shown that there's no results on YouTube. Now it's here, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to subscribe, because I'm talking about this stuff from my personal experience, and I want to say I love you. So understand that your moodiness also is a very key indicator that something is wrong, all right? Recognize also that it doesn't have to just be something wrong, but your moodiness comes from understanding collective energy around you, all right? It's often not even just a moodiness because you're moody. You're moody because you're psychic. You're moody because your intuition is spot the fuck on. It's just on. And it's really hard for a Cancer, in my opinion, 8th house, to really honor that, because first off, it's unconscious. You don't really understand, and you may take your moodiness as like a bad thing, but in reality, it's kind of like your intuition and your psychic powers telling you, hey, the reason that I feel unsafe and that I am frozen is because this anxiety is paralyzing me, because I need you to wake the fuck up and see what's happening. I need you to see what's going on, because I want to push forward. It's in my nature as a Cancer to push forward. So if I can't push forward, then you can't move either. I'm going to freeze you until later. I'm going to make you moody. And your moody is really because you're taking in the collective energies of the environment, the space around you. These are moments to sage your house, Palo Santo, your home. Get the Ruda. I think I have some right here. Ruda, if you're here in Colombia, this is a major one as well, for limpiando tu energía, tu energética. So this is major. Get yourself around some plants. And I kind of want to hit you on a wrap up of this, but what I do is want to say is recognize that unconsciously, you're going to really want to discover hidden spiritual facts. All right. For you to really kind of stay excited at work, this is coming from the 8th house placement. This is your focus on that 8th house. You're always going to want to dive deeper into the hidden facts, maybe within the family, maybe within your own roots. You're going to always want to go back to like what around my roots is making this pattern of mine. And you want to understand it. Like, that's key. And what's really super important with this, 8th house is also shared resources. This counts the home that you share with your partner, your lover, It counts the money you share. It counts the services you share. It counts all that. You want to really be mindful of manipulation between the things you share. All right, because 8th house wants power. They want control, and they are possessive. So they want to possess the home. They want to possess potentially their lover. All right, potentially their partner, potentially the earnings. So it's important to really stay very clean, very clear, and emotionally honest with the money coming in, the money coming out. Don't play your partner. All right, because again, while you're doing that, you're going to attract partners unconsciously in your life that are going to manipulate and play you for your money, for your resources. And until you stop doing that, you're going to find yourself in these addictive and manipulative relationships that are completely controlling your actions and making you freeze and paralyzed and making you unable to really push and move forward. So that's major. Don't fuck with the money with this placement. Yeah, and don't use the money to possess somebody for their love, or because basically it'll interfere with your love life. It really will, tremendously. It's going to interfere with your love life, and it's going to make you miserable and probably your partner miserable. With this placement, recognize that a lot of your teenage sex encounters are one of the major influences in your life. Like, think back, if it's an unconscious placement. So right around 15 years old is when those teens, you start getting the pheromones that start coming out in a way that's like, all right, you're morphing and you're shaping your actions and your aggression and your sexual life path. And in the 8th house in Cancer is highly sexualized. We know 8th house stands for sex, and Cancer is also highly sexualized. They want that touch. They want to nurture. They want to build. All right. So there's a major placement with you and your partner to help them build their inner security up, to help them build what they struggle with in their roots of their upbringing, of the roots of their sexual teenage encounters. You're helping to nurture your partner in these areas. So that's major. And you're here to really share the knowledge, right? You're here to share the knowledge of things you learn from the hidden aspects of your life, your partner's life. You're here to share the knowledge in a way. So the keys that I wanted to say again, watch for fights, quarrels, debates, especially when it comes to debt with your partner or potentially overspending, spending more than what you have is really important. And the last 2 to 3 things is if there's Cancer, Mars, 8th house, may find yourself really needing to be aware of destructive tantrums or having this overwhelming feeling of feeling lonely, like no one's there for you. Like, that's really key. It's major. Like, watch out for that. Be mindful of that instinct to really kind of obtain power, because you're inclined to push forward when you feel safe to gain more power, maybe even within not just the family, but the resources that you share. All right, because this is unconscious, so you may not fully recognize this. Hit that subscribe while I take a sip of my tea, baby. Now, the last 2 things is passion can actually be blinding for you than the bigger picture. Bless you. That's my twin flame over there. She's like listening, like we're acting like her beats are on, but she hears me. She's like, I'm taking notes, baby. I'm taking notes, baby. Trust your partner. If you want to come in, feel free to come on in. Hey, look at you. I got the beats on. I can't hear you. Trust your partner. Give your partner space and honor their devotion. So here's what's key about this, right? You may not recognize this. This comes more from Pholus and Cancer in the 8th house, but I have a lot of Cancer 8th house placements, and this is one of them. Recognize that you actually absorb the passion of your partner and you turn it into gains for yourself. Like, right? So 8th house is like, it's shared resources, but it's not their resource to begin with. But what they have the power to do, especially with Cancer, you have the power to nurture that resource in a way that you actually get inspired, you get passionate about their resource. I see this happen with my partner all the time, right? Like, she has a Gemini 10th house double up on her placement. So her creativity and genius when it comes to business is just like, boom, it's mind blowing. And when she comes up with a new idea, like, yo, I'm gonna do this course, I'm gonna do this. Cancer 8th house has the ability to really look at these resources, look at her passions, her instincts, and go, this, move forward on this, wait on it a little bit. It's important, it's gonna come, but wait on it. And in the process of them helping to nurture and build these processes that you share, it becomes a shared resource, right? It's you and your partner, you and your lover, you and your romantic person or person you're in a relation with. What happens is, in Cancer 8th house, when you find yourself emotionally attached, emotionally inspired by one of these ideas of your partner, you oftentimes turn that passion of theirs into a passion of yours, and it becomes a gain. It becomes something that you are more powerful with. All right. This is the beauty of the 8th house as well. But also recognize that as you absorb these, you're gonna also need laughter in your relationships. I put this, it's really important. Like, you're gonna go through bouts of just like moodiness that doesn't always have to be something so special. Like, because you're so psychic and you feel so much energies around you, like, laughter is important because these emotional needs of yours are honestly really big. Your emotional needs are just grand. Like, that's just the reality. And like, you're gonna find yourself being somebody that does need a partner. That's just really what it is. Like, no matter how, Cancer is an individual sign, but 8th house is an interpersonal sign, right? Cancer wants to nurture their partner. They're nurture and build their resources with their partner. So you're gonna need that, and really, like, intimacy is critical. Like, having that touch, having that emotional connection is just critical for you. You really can't live without it. So you find yourself in relationships where you don't get that, you got to really speak up about that. Don't allow the resentment to build. Don't let yourself get trapped in a relationship where you know from the beginning that you're not going to get that, and you don't express that, because maybe that can change. It doesn't mean that from the beginning it's like that and it can't grow, but you got to speak up on that. All right. Don't be the Cancer that holds and bottle it in and then blow up 4 years later in your relationship when you knew 4 years prior. All right. The last thing I want to say is, because you're psychic, premonitions, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Premonitions, you get premonitions of the end. This is a tough thing. Water signs are fucking psychic, all right? Like, they see the future. It's just that simple. They see the future. So again, this is also unconscious, but you have access to the past with Cancer being part of the roots. You have 8th house and Scorpio's influence, that you can be very perceptive about what from your past is necessary to take along and what's just not necessary. Be honest with yourself with that, because Cancer is a very nostalgic sign, and they use that nostalgia to motivate and inspire them, but it also can make them depressed and stay still and stagnant. But water signs are also futuristic. They see the end. They have premonitions, visions of the end. They know what's coming. So as a part of that, when you now share this with your partner, y'all get to move forward. Y'all get to move forward. That's beautiful. And the last is, like, you're going to go through grief. You're going to go through death, all right? Death of your habits, death within the family, death within projects that you have nurtured, resource that you have nurtured. They're always going to have to eventually transform. 8th house is transformation, power. Transform the dark times in your partnerships into light times, all right? That's going to be critical, because you're going to consistently face grief. Grief doesn't always have to be a death of a person. Grief is also not linear. So don't forget that, because Cancer is not linear. Cancer doesn't just go straight like an Aries does. It goes side to side. So you naturally understand this grief process, and you naturally understand how to be there for your partners going through grief. So you may find yourself with partners that have a certain amount of grief that they have not released, or that they need more evolution to go through. And you have the ability to see the hidden motivations behind the stage that they're in, and you know how to nurture them and bring them forward. So for me, I really look at this as my interpretation of Mars and Cancer in the 8th house. I look at this as something so beautiful. I know this is a really long, I just couldn't go any shorter than this, because it was so important. There's no information out there that I feel like is really relevant enough and really pertinent enough. And I'm giving you this now from my real life experiences as a male in the world, with a very feminine, it's the motherly placement of a very feminine placement. I'm also a past life Cancer in the 8th house as well. So it's like, I have a very close relationship to this. It's been very confusing the majority of my life, but now I'm starting to kind of gain the reins and being able to steer this ship a little more consciously as I bring awareness to my unconscious Mars. So once you become aware and conscious, it doesn't have to stay that way. I want to say thank you. I want to say I love you for checking in with my interpretation. I'll see you soon. Like this, subscribe to this, and join our Moon Tribe. If you're still here, I want you to drop a Cancer emoji and just let that sit. If you have this placement, or if you have a partner with this placement, leave me your feedback down below with that Cancer zodiac sign. And I have links that you can donate if you really enjoy this interpretation, to help me keep this YouTube channel alive, kicking, rolling, and allow my artistic talent to hit the stage. Thank you. Love.